Zugzwang is a situation in chess where your opponent would rather skip their turn than make a move. This is round 4 of the Maryland Open, and I was able to do just that in this game and play one of the most beautiful queenless middle games I played in a while. Once again, in the Philidor. In the Philidor, where they exchange and go into a queenless endgame. Queenless middle game, and it was pretty spectacular. I entered this round with 2 out of 3. I lost to a 12-year-old girl in the last round. Now I'm playing like a 16-year-old girl who's having a really great tournament. She's on 2.5 out of 3. And she had a very good result. She just drew a 1975 in the previous round, and now I get to play her. So she plays e4, and like I said, I do play the Philidor. And this is a no engine recap until the very end of this video. So you're just going to get human analysis. I haven't seen this game with an engine yet, but afterwards I'm going to put the game through game review, and we're going to hopefully learn something through this process together. She exchanges and trades queens, and this is the opening position. I have gotten this, with the exception of round 3, all of my opponents do the exact same thing. They do this. And I am so comfortable in these positions because Black's play is actually easier. Even though Black's king is in the center, it is by far easier to play with Black, as we'll see in this game. Because the idea is to pin the knight to the king and then castle queenside with a check. It feels good. It's natural. It makes sense. It's principled to develop with tempo. And after my knight blocks, she plays knight f3, and this knight is pinned. So knight f3 comes with the threat of taking the pawn on e5. And if I go king e8 to get out of this pin, well, now this other knight is going to hop in and wreak some havoc. I don't know. And so after knight f3, I know one of the moves I have is actually knight g4. So I'm familiar with a few key lines in this opening position, and it all revolves around when to move this knight. So usually when a knight attacks e5, you want to move your knight away to attack this bishop, and after the king takes back, this knight on d7 will no longer be pinned to the king on d8. So it's actually a really nice way to solve your problems as Black in the opening. So we trade, and now I'm threatening a fork on f2, and she defends with rook d2. She can also throw in a check first if she wants to, but she opts to just defend, and now I play c6, so no longer giving her the opportunity to hop in with her knight. And now she plays h3. So I invested the tempo, but now I have to spend a tempo moving my knight back, and I don't want to go knight to f6 because actually I want to put my pawn on f6 to solidify my center, and so I can continue developing my other pieces. So I move my knight back, and she plays g4, kind of saying, hey, your knight's really not going to move anywhere. I don't think this was a great plan for her. I mean, it's definitely, solid enough that, this position is balancing around equal, but as you'll see in these next few moves, it was really apparent that she didn't have a plan, and I was able to take the initiative back eventually. I play f6, solidifying the center. And if g5, I might take, or I might just drop my knight back, and this trade might be bad, but it might be okay as well. Actually, thinking out loud, I probably would just take, then go rook f8. And actually, I can't do that right now. My h7 pawn is hanging. So I actually don't know. What would I have done if she played g5 immediately? I guess if she did play this, the pawn structure is imbalanced. I have the half-open f-file where I can target the f2 pawn. And but I have an isolated e pawn, but it's probably not bad at all. And she has this isolated h3 pawn that I can also target. So but she did not go g5 immediately. She wanted to continue developing. But bishop c4 made me really, really happy. And now, like if you saw my other games with the Philidor, immediately what I'm going to do. I'm going to go b5. And then I'm going to go knight c5, attacking the bishop, but also eyeing e4. So now b4, pawn to b4 is a potential threat because now I'm going to win that pawn. So she defends her pawn with rook e1. But now I go a5, threatening to trap the bishop. And now she goes a4. Now, I want you to look at this position, and I'm going to jump to a game that I played a month ago. My opponent did something very, very similar, where he traded in the center. We traded queens, exact same opening, except instead of allowing me to hop my knight to g4 and play knight of 3 earlier on, he threw in bishop c4 earlier. But that doesn't matter, because look what happens here. Very similar position, but I get f6 in, and h3, g4 happens, and knight c5 happens, and b5 and a5 happen. And in this position, I ended up winning this game, doubling the pawns, and having a very, very pleasant position. Let's jump back to my other game. In this position, one of the main differences is that this knight is on h6, and she's played a4. Let's go to this game. Very, very similar, but her knight's on h4, and this pawn is on a3 instead of a4, but very, very similar. And so I was very, very happy to reach this position. I took the bishop with check, played b4, and then attacked the pawn. So I really gained the initiative. Like after a5, she has to respond. She has to respond. She has to respond. She has to respond. So everything just kept coming at the same time. And now I thought in this position for 20 minutes. The time control was game in 90 plus 30. And at this point, I still have like around 85 minutes. And so I've been playing pretty fast because, as you can tell, most of the game is the same. Most of the game is the same. It's not very difficult for me. I have a decision. Do I put a rook on the open file to help contest this file? Or do I play knight f7 and rotate my knight towards the queen side quicker? And I help control g5 as well. So what do I do? My main concern with rook a d8 was rook takes. If she doubles up, I'm really not concerned. Not concerned at all, because I'm just going to trade once, and now my king blocks her rooks from infiltrating. Just my king alone does that. However, if she trades and plays the move g5, I wasn't sure what to think. Yes, my rook is on the open file, but now her king is the one that easily deflects my king, my king from my rook from entering her position. And so I really wasn't sure how to evaluate this. And she could play the move g5. That was the main thing I was calculating, that if she trades rooks and then plays g5, what is happening? If I do not take this pawn and rotate back, she can trade. And if I take back with the pawn, now this f5 square is permanently juicy. Maybe she's going to go knight g3 and knight h4 and knight f5 and forcibly get one of her knights there. Maybe that's I have to calculate and evaluate, is that okay? Is that okay for me to do? Well, in this specific case, her pawn on h3 is hanging, so she can't do that immediately. So maybe h4 immediately. And I was like, is this enough for me to win? No, I can't just get a good position. I need to win this position. I wasn't sure if I could win this. And then also, if I don't take, should I take with the king? I was trying to evaluate that. And I was also trying to figure out that, like, okay, after g5, what if I take? If I take, what if she takes the center pawn and now she's threatening a fork? And if I go king f6, then she takes, well, now I can pin, but then she can reinforce her knight with her other knight, and then I can still attack, and now I should be winning here, but there's this check, and then this pawn can rush through, but it's probably okay, maybe, if I go here, then here, and then I can just take, so this should be winning. But I was really unsure of how to calculate this. Well, honestly, in this specific situation, I forgot that she could go here. I was analyzing this with Alexander Falcon after the fact. But I was also trying to evaluate knight takes g5, and now this h pawn is hanging. And I realized that, I could still play knight f7, actually. And then if she takes my pawn, well, her knight's actually trapped. So very, very sneaky stuff here. So I had to, and if I don't contest the open file, well, now she can have the entire open file. But my bishop and my knight work together to completely block off the d file from infiltration and the pawn from the rooks. There's no possible way for her to land a rook on this open file. However, that means that, I can't use this open file. I can't put my knight on d6 and try to activate it. It's very difficult to do so. However, I thought, if she does double up in this position, I'm going to play h5. And I thought this was a good enough solution. It made me confident enough to play this position. Just knowing the fact that I had this h5 resource, and she might not even double up. And guess what? I did play knight f7 in the game, and she did not play rook ed1. She did not double up her rooks. She played knight g3, controlling the h5 and f5 square. So I just played g6. I'm just like, okay, g6, controlling these two squares. Maybe I'll push h5 in the future. Maybe not. But now I still have complete control of the open file, and I still have this target on b3, and my bishop really doing God's work here, really putting pressure on both sides of the board. If this pawn ever moves, this h3 pawn will be hanging. She can never push h4 because then I could take. So really nice position for my bishops. And now she doubles up. And here, I decide that yes, I do actually want to contest the open file, and I do actually want to trade both pairs of rooks. And I think this position is enough for me to win, because I still have this target on b3, and this king is going to have a tough time defending. And no matter what she does, I'm likely going to be able to target one of her kingside pawns with my knight, while also maintaining pressure on the queen side. And she has to really contort to defend the position. So how does she try to do it? So she plays knight d2, planning to perhaps go to c4. If she goes to c4, then this pawn on a5 is impossible to defend, so I have to trade off my bishop. And if that happens, then she undoubles her pawns and can solidify her position, and she trades off my most powerful minor piece in this position. I could try to target this h3 pawn, but then she could just push it. And if she pushes it, I don't really have a great answer to that. I could go knight to h3, try to go knight f4, but then she could go g5 here. She could go g5, and I could, g5 would hang the pawn. So actually, in hindsight, this actually might have been a really good solution. Well, I guess she could go f3 to defend her center, and then I could try to go knight f4, and then after knight c4, I could take, and I don't really see a follow-up, to be honest. So I think I kind of dismissed it after knight g5 and pawn to h4. I saw that I didn't really have that many opportunities, so I didn't really consider it past knight g5 and h4. So instead I just run my king. I run my king. And here, this is where I calculate that in another 6 moves or so, she's going to be in Zugzwang, and I have won this game by force. So, if she goes knight c4 immediately, well now, she leaves her queen side, or she leaves her king side open to my knight. So I'm going to take, and then I'm going to play knight g5, and after h4, play knight f3, attacking the pawn, and if h5, I'm going to go knight e5 check, and if she goes king d3, then I can play king b6 and start sneaking my king through. So for example, let's say she takes and she can't go b3, so let's say knight back, knight rotates back. Here I can probably go knight b3, should I go knight c5 and win this a pawn by force? And I really don't see a great way to stop it. And this knight has no forward momentum. So if she goes pawn to f3, then I can go check, and after king here, take the pawn, attack this pawn, and if she pushes this pawn, well now I can go probably knight c3. No, I would lose a pawn. I just go back and attack this pawn. And once again, it's really not super easy to defend this position. Here, I can probably just go a4, and after pawn takes king here, and I'm going to win back this pawn and start pushing this passed pawn down the road, and there's not really that much she can do here. I can probably just do this and win this pawn. So that's if she goes knight c4. However, what if she brings her king in? Well, firstly, she solidifies the center. So her goal is to solidify her light squared pawns, play pawn to h4, so my knight cannot wreak havoc. So if I go king b6, and if she goes knight c4 now, after I take and then go move up with the king, and after she moves up with the king, I have knight g5, and it's just a fork. It's just simply a fork. I'm attacking 2 pawns at once. There's nothing she can do. So she still can't go knight c4. So she plays pawn to h4 to really block out my knight. And now she's blocking out my knight, but also my bishop. My bishop, this isn't really a target because it's well defended. So what's my plan? Well, now my plan, I'm going to bring in my king, bring in my knight, and then I'm going to improve this final piece. Once she's dedicated resources to try to play knight c4, that's when I'm going to hit her with the zugzwang, as we'll see in the game. And you'll see this is really crazy. So after knight d6, controlling c4, she plays king d3, controlling c4, the c4 square. I play king c5, controlling c4, and now she plays knight f1. So the idea is, let's say I just shuffle. Let's say I just play bishop g8, a nothing move. This move does nothing. Well, now she's gonna play, knight c4. Well, actually not immediately. She's gonna play knight e3, and after I move again, she's going to play knight c4, and then I'm going to take, and I have no more forward progress in this position. I really don't. What am I going to do? To go h6, she's going to go b3. If I go h5, she's going to take. And what am I going to do? There's no possible way for me to win this game. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I probably have greater losing chances than I have winning chances here. So after knight f1, what I calculated back when I played king c7 was this move, bishop c8. I wasn't sure if she was going to go knight f1. Did I say c1? I meant to say f1. I wasn't sure if she was going to play knight f1 or knight e2, but knight f1 makes a lot more sense because they're trying to reroute the knight to e3 to go to c4. How about bishop c8? And the idea is that after knight c4 or knight e3, doesn't matter what move order she does, I'm going to play bishop a6, pinning the knight to the king. And after she reinforces with knight e3 or knight d2, I'm going to play this move, h6, and she can't move anything. It's game over. The game is over. She has no options. And when I spotted this idea from afar, all the way back 6 moves ago, on this move 24, I was ecstatic because I spent like 20 minutes or so calculating here, trying to evaluate, how am I going to win this game? And the winning idea, what the heck? The winning idea being that after f3 and all of these moves, to bring the bishop back to its home square, to launch back forward, to have a pin, and then after h6, the knight cannot move because it loses defense of this other knight. The king cannot move. This knight obviously can't move because it's in a pin. The pawns can't move. If this pawn and these pawns can't move, nothing can move, and she's forced to move her king away. Then I take, and then I take, and now I'm in a winning endgame, and she throws one last haymaker, f4. Well, why is that a haymaker? Why does that even matter? Well, if I ignore this g5. And I remember calculating just like, oh my God, like f4 and then king b3 and then g5. If I take, she can go f5, and if I can take then, right? I can take then, but then pawn takes, and I'm like, wait a second, wait, okay. So if I take, she can run, and then if I go here, she's actually in the square, so I can't do that. And if I take here, she's just promoting way before me. And I was like, okay, wait, hold up. So if I go g5, she goes g5, and And what do I do? Do I take like this? Well, if I take like this, she can go f5 still, and after pawn takes, she can go h5, and now she still snuck her pawn through, and then I get a pawn diamond, but it's not a good one because after I take, she still promotes before me, and I have so many pawns, but I don't think it's enough. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I don't address f4, I'm gonna lose this game. And if I take and go king d4, trying to desperately hold on to everything, well, now g5 anyways. And so, oh wait, this is still winning. Okay, I thought, for some reason, I thought that, I forgot. So I thought that after takes, and takes, I thought she could push her pawn forward, but I forgot that she was in check, to be honest. I'll be honest, I forgot about that. I thought she might have more options here after king d4, but it doesn't look like she has many. Oh, wait, h5. There's this move h5. Yeah. There's this move h5. Because now, if I take, she'll play king f5. Well, I guess if I play c5, she can play king f5 after c4. This is definitely winning. Whoops. This is definitely winning. But I didn't calculate that far. I guess if I do just take on f4, it's no problem. But I got really scared, if I ignore it, of her playing g5. And I found this one. So that was a nice little last haymaker. Like, if black gets lazy, like, white is winning. White is winning here, which is, at least I'm pretty sure white's winning. So I played a very nice, calm move, pawn to g5, shutting everything down. Now she cannot go g5 herself, and now all this tension will amount to anything. Any way that she takes, I'm copying. If she takes here, I'm copying. She takes here, I'm copying. And so there's no possible way for her to sneak a pawn through. No possible way. No possible way at all. So she goes king f3. I go king forward. She goes back. I push my pawn. She goes forward. I push my pawn. She goes back. I push my pawn. Well, I actually take her pawn. And then she takes. She takes. And then she resigns. That was one of the coolest ways to end a game. To end a game with a Zugzwang with 7 pawns on the board. There are 7 pawns on the board and 2 minor pieces, and she can't move anything. To end it like that, and then to really, the nail in the coffin, g5. I was very happy after this game because it's not every day you get to do that. It's not every day you get to do that. And my opponent was definitely playing way too fast. She was playing way too fast. Like, I think, probably up to this point, she still has like an hour and 10 minutes on the clock up to this point. And meanwhile, I'm getting down to 60 minutes. I'm getting down to 40 minutes. I think at the very end, I get down to like 35 or 30 minutes, which is so much time, more so than I compared, more so than before. But even here, I think, she still has over an hour on the clock. So she was moving way too fast. She was not respecting how dangerous this position is for her. And I ended up winning that game. So I enter round 5 with 3 out of 4. Right now, entering round 5, if I lose round 5, I win $50. If I draw round 5, then I'll win $150. And if I win round 5, I win $375. So with that being said, I'm going to hit the game review, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.